I believe people would resolve conflicts without violence, that more people would dare to do amazing things. I believe that if our self-worth wasn't on the line, the world would look a lot better and more peaceful for all of us. Now that's a reimagining worthy of our consideration. So how do we make this vision real? Cultivating unconditional self-worth is an ongoing practice.
Unconditional? Really?
Because I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me.
This is one of the things about the self-help community that make me cringe. And don't make me wrong, I love the self-help community. It's helped me a lot in the past years, but it doesn't mean that I don't cringe at some of the things that the self-help gurus try to promote. And the self-love, self-worth, and self-esteem is one of them. Okay, let me ask you, how many times a day do you hear YouTuber tells his or her subscribers that, oh, you are awesome, you're special, you're worthy, you're beautiful? Well, it depends on the type of channel that you're watching. If you watch more lifestyle channels, then you definitely come across this a lot. This feel good about yourself all the time because it could solve your life problem culture makes me feel uncomfortable. Yes, to a certain extent, positive affirmation could help to get yourself into momentum, could help you to feel energized to do stuff. But when it goes a bit too far, it gets weird. When I'm not good at doing something, I need somebody to tell me to my face that I suck, even though I would feel terrible. If I behave in a certain way that makes people around me dislike me, I need somebody to tell me that I'm an ass. And what does it even mean by you're worthy unconditionally? Can I be worthy even if I just breathe air and being useless? Do you know what the current self-love culture looks to me? It has morphed into self-indulgence and a giant marketing campaign for companies to sell a product. Bath bombs, face masks, face scrubs, and exfoliators and serums and all that jazz. I wonder, to make this notion that everybody is special, is competent, is beautiful in their own way, and the notion that nobody has to be average or below average, to make these notions possible, the underlying narrative would be that everybody could set up their own sets of value in disregards of everybody else's value or the society's value. It sounds good. It sounds liberated. However, for the longest time, this notion irks me in some weird way because it reminds me of relativism, which states that there is no absolute moral truth and that everybody could decide their own sets of value and they can decide whether stealing is good or bad based on their own set of value, and nobody in the society whatsoever could tell anybody about their shitty behaviors. These days on the internet, people keep on tossing around the term self-worth and how cultivating a high sense of self-worth could help you to cure depression and all that jazz. However, this is not new. In fact, it's a remnant of a failed social movement in the US in the 80s.
Do you live in a world where competition is frowned upon? All people are treated equally, and no one is allowed to fail.
Things are different in classrooms these days. Now when kids sing about heroes, they're not thinking about Abe Lincoln. They're singing about themselves.
One of the most significant figures that made self-esteem become a mainstream movement to combat societal problems was Nathaniel Branden. He was a Canadian-American psychotherapist and the author of the famous book, The Psychology of Self-Esteem, published in 1969. He said, "I cannot think of a single psychological problem, from anxiety and depression to fear of intimacy or success to spouse battery or child molestation, that is not traceable to the problem of poor self-esteem. There is overwhelming evidence, including scientific findings, that the higher the individual's level of self-esteem, the more likely he or she will treat others with respect, kindness, and generosity." Later on in 1986, John Vasconcellos, who was a California State Assembly, set up and funded a task force whose mission is to promote self-esteem and personal and social responsibility. This movement first started in California, quickly spread to other states and became a dominant educational theory pushed on teachers and their students. Millions of dollars from taxpayers' money were poured in to fund this entire movement. Self-esteem suddenly became a miracle social vaccine, as stated by Vasconcelos. In 2004, it was stated that over 18,000 studies investigating self-esteem have been published over the span of 35 years. This is the rate of more than one publication per day. On the one hand, many claims regarding the impact of high self-esteem on individuals include good academic performance, high career achievement, and being socially likable. On the other hand, low self-esteem was believed to be the cause of depression, drug abuse, teen pregnancy, and antisocial behaviors.
Today I'm selling a super duper fabulous fantastic thing. Me!
Cultivating self-esteem became dominant in classrooms across America. Lessons and interactions among students and between teachers and students were designed to make students feel special, feel achieved, regardless of their academic performance. A few of these activities include chanting positive affirmation in class and playing games that have no competition and winner.
They were telling me as a teacher to a parent that it didn't really matter whether a child could spell just so long as they felt good.
Contrary to Branden's claim that there's an overwhelming evidence of the effect of self-esteem, in reality, the subsequent studies found that the correlation between self-esteem and positive social activities is insignificant, and correlation doesn't mean causation. As many critics have pointed out, there's a high chance that positive social activities lead to self-esteem. For example, a student feels good about themselves, has high self-esteem because he or she does well in class and not the other way around. A comprehensive study in 2003 by Baumeister concluded that there is no causal effect between self-esteem and academic achievement, job performance, and interpersonal relation. Baumeister also found that inflated sense of self-worth was present in individuals who committed violent crimes. Correlation between low self-esteem and depression is found to be very moderate. Self-esteem is one of the symptoms of depression, but low self-esteem is neither necessary nor sufficient for depression. The task force was disbanded in 1995 after ultimately announcing that low self-esteem is not the root cause of societal problems and not as important as the committee had originally thought. Regarding the self-esteem movement, as Robin Dawes put it in his book House of Cards, Psychology and Psychotherapy Built on Myth, the holy grail of pop psychology is nothing more than a mirage. It's worth noting that high self-esteem is shown to correlate with happiness. However, at the end of the day, it's something that we earn by improving ourselves, even if it means that we have to face criticisms that hurt our feelings, and definitely not by a random person on TED Talk or self-help gurus telling us that we are worthy, and certainly not by forcing a false positive self-evaluation. Nathaniel Branden, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, the founder of this self-esteem movement, has later on wholeheartedly endorsed the criticism of this movement. He said that this concept of self-esteem has morphed into the oversimplifications and the sugar-coating of pop psychology. In 1994, he published a book called The Six Pillars of Self-esteem. Contrary to the mainstream social media's belief that practicing unconditional high sense of self-worth could help cure depression and other personal issues, Branden's book clearly pointed out that self-esteem is the result of practicing self-acceptance, self-responsibility, self-assertiveness, personal integrity, and leading a conscious and meaningful life. So what do you think about this whole self-worth and self-esteem trend in social media? Please let me know your opinion in the comments down below. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you in the next one.